BS3 Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to
I'm back.
Yes. We want to just clap it up. We're just happy that I got my sister back, my illustrious co-host, Latoya, aka Doc, back in the building. We missed you.
I was gonna say, did you miss me?
I did actually. Had a great time with the fellas. Had a great time with the fellas. It's important that fellas get together. We're not made to be alone and away from each other. We got to have that camaraderie. So we appreciate you, giving us that time. Mm-hmm. And so we hope other women pay attention to your grace and your kindness and willingness to let us take over the space for a little bit. But we're back in the building. The dynamic duo is here. I am Eric Butler, aka the Intellect, aka the Atlantic, because I'm cold, deep, and choppy. And I was telling you, aka Cullinan 8, because I am the biggest diamond ever found on land, and ain't nothing nobody can do about it. So, listen, I'm a father, grandfather. I'm in the talent acquisition space. I've been a recruiter for about 17 years now. So people have become my specialty. Consulting people in their careers, which kind of drifted into just doing some personal development consulting. Also active in the community through a nonprofit called the Empower Series. It's the foundation of it is really based on financial literacy. And I really want you to go out and take a look at the Empower Series. We actually have an event. It's really about fitness and from a physical standpoint. Yeah. So we're going to have a certified trainer that is going to give some joint, for joints that ain't quite there, and some light workouts that are going to be really great. And I would love for everyone to take the opportunity, go out, register, RSVP. You can do it virtually or you can come there in person. So the Empower Series, Inc. Go on to our YouTube page. You can see that. Go on to LinkedIn, you can see the information on there. And so I appreciate you letting me kind of pub that a little bit. So I'll just digress, and we'll let my wonderful, undisputed, uncomparable, illustrious co-host introduce herself and share some of her stuff. Thank you.
Okay, so I am Latoya, aka Doc, aka them kids' mama and his wife. Yeah. So I'm a licensed professional counselor. Let's see what else. I'm a podcast co-host, an author, speaker, and I also host an amazing conference that will be coming back next year. So all the things, if you want to learn more about me, you can go to LatoyaTheTherapist.com. I got some good stuff coming out, so you probably want to join the email list. I get really active over there. Otherwise, I say we jump right in because I missed you. Yay, I'm back.
All right. Happy to have you back, Doc. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. So with that being said, if you don't know and you didn't look, but tonight's title is going to be Childhood Trauma, Perceived versus Real. What's made up and what's actual. So don't know if that's going to be controversial, but most importantly, I think we're going to delve into the thoughts of not just childhood trauma, but trauma in general, I believe. Because if it's not looked at, even paid attention to, then that can drift into adulthood. So that'll be pretty interesting. If everyone paid attention, they would understand that Doc is a licensed therapist. This is something they've been doing quite some time. And to be for a serious moment, I'd like to say that what she has and what she does, I believe, is a gift. I've kind of seen it in action. And so I'm really excited. And you really are about to get something that, you really need to pay for. So with that being said, this is I'm excited about this opportunity. So we'll read some comments. Mr. Ben Sutter III. And if you can't notice, the BS3 network is where that's the ship that we ride on. And if you see the Ben Sutter III, he puts the BS3 network, a BS3 into the network, BS3 network. So by sending stars help us earn money to continue building a network. And we thank you for that. It really is a solid organization, place to be. I promise you it wouldn't be a waste to give some support if you can. So we appreciate you and thank you in advance for that.
All right, and then we got hi, Aspen.
Hello, Aspen. Glad you're here. Mr. J. Gillian. Yeah, we say welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back. Thank you. Put up comment section.
Absolutely. Get them stirred up. Miss Steph, thank you for being here.
How you doing? Yes, let's get it popping. Hey, sis, how are you?
All right. I appreciate it. If everybody don't know, don't tell them.
I said go ahead and tell
them. Absolutely. That's if you don't notice that last name, that's my baby bird right there.
Okay, now they just in the comments getting it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So, of course, I am not a licensed therapist, but you can't tell me that I don't know a thing or two. However, definitely going to, step back, kind of talk, let Doc kind of lead the way. And, of course, I'm going to say something. I'm going to have some questions, and I may have some retorts every now and again. So just everybody prepare yourself for that. So with that being said, Doc, let's kind of dig into it.
Let's go. So first, everybody, listen, my disclaimer. We know that you know somebody that knows somebody that does not align with what I'm going to say. It's fine. There's an outlier for every situation. We are speaking in general based on our education, our knowledge, and our experience. This is also not therapy. I am a therapist, not your therapist. Do not go back and be like, well, Latoya, the therapist said, because I did not say it to you personally. If we don't have paperwork and payment, I am not your therapist. Okay. Now, what's trauma, right? So that's a question for me. So trauma is a triggering event that causes you significant emotional distress. So there's big T trauma and there's little t trauma. Big T trauma is where if anybody in the world experienced this action or this activity or this event, they're going to think it's traumatic. So that's like going to war, being robbed at gunpoint, being attacked by an axe murderer, of course, like sexual assault, stuff like that. Like anybody that goes through this type of thing is going to think it's a trauma. Little T trauma is like dependent on the person. So like I could be bullied and think it's a trauma, but you might be bullied and be like, nope, I'm strong. That is not a trauma. I don't know what happened. No. A breakup could be considered traumatic depending on how the person processes it. Moving long distances could be considered a trauma. So that's like little T trauma. So I want to start with that general definition. But here's the thing that I really want to talk about. You said what's made up and what's actual. Nothing's made up. If a person say that's a trauma, it's their trauma.
I get it because I believe perception is reality.
Right.
But
who's out here making up trauma? Like, I'm not saying like lying. I'm saying who is out here making up trauma? Can we talk about that?
Well, I think the premise of that is, you just, and I love the fact that you just shared about, there's big T traumas, which I think anyone could, well, I ain't gonna say that. People have done strange things. But I love the definition of, major traumas, and you gave some examples, and then little T traumas. So, or little T's is what we'll call them, little T's. So with the little T's, this is the premise of that. It's not a made up trauma, but I think it's the practice of others who try to make little T's and function and operate and make excuses as if they were big T's.
So here's the thing. perception is that person's reality. So it's little t because we didn't think it was that big of a deal. But if they felt like it was a big deal, people literally get stuck there. Like people have arrested development because their middle school crush said, I don't want to go to the dance with you. And like they're really stuck there. And while I feel like, hey, come on, guys, let's move a little forward in life. If that's how they feel, that's how they feel. So it's not made up. I think it's more, I think what we should really deal with is like, how long do you stay stuck when it's a little T trauma? Mm-hmm. How long do you let Tommy bullying you on the playground hold you hostage?
So let me stir up the pot a little bit. So how long do you blame and stay angry at your parents because they weren't maybe together, or they weren't present as much, or they were having a rough time themselves and wasn't considered a good parent in that regard? How long did they hold on to that? Or man, let me ask that: is that a little T or is that a big T? Again, I know you said perception, because to some it would be
right, like because to somebody that's like a big deal. I would even categorize it as big because your parents, like, you can't, for all intents and purposes, you can't escape them. And so if CPS don't come get you, if your grandma don't come get you, and you're stuck there, like you can't get out. So if you deem it to be an inappropriate situation, or you think that it's like horrible, then you're essentially training yourself to think that you've been held hostage for 18 years. See what I'm saying? So I would say that it's big T. That's what I think. How long do you stay stuck there? Man, I have a client now. She's older than me and you, and she's stuck there. So I don't think that there's a time frame. I think it's more like, okay, this is awful. This happened to me. These people was trash. We cussing them out, or we moving on?
Right. Like what yeah. And I think the sad thing about it is that you see a lot of self-pain inflicted regarding that, because they won't move on. You know what I mean? But let's read the comments. Aspen Smith says, when I think about this topic, I think about when you try to reconcile traumas with the people in the family or the person who caused the trauma. To some, a resolution is needed.
I think that's such a good point. And I encourage people, when it's safe, go get your resolution. But this is why you have to be careful. If you go up to your mama and you say, hey, you were a bully, you abused me, it was not okay. And your mama say, that didn't happen. That was discipline. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Are you ready for that? Even the bigger one is like when somebody, like, I'll just say it, like when somebody does something to you sexually inappropriate, when they molest you, and then you go back to that cousin and you say, this is what happened. And they say, we was playing mamas and daddies. What you talking about? Or they say, that never happens. We just was just hide and go get it. Like, nah. Are you like really ready to deal with that? And so you have to be careful when you're looking for a resolution, because everybody doesn't share your perception. And if a person has moved on in their life and created a life to where they think that they're a decent person, you're going to come in and introduce this narrative that they're a predator, an abuser, whatever you're trying to say that they are. They're not going to subscribe to that.
Man, that's a huge dynamic.
And then that's a second trauma for you. So you have to be careful with that resolution piece, and like think about, how can I get resolution within myself? Do I need to journal? Do I need to go set something on fire? Do I need to go to a rage room? Do I need to set a boundary? Like, what do I have to do so that I can create my own sense of safety?
Repeat those slowly. Again, I think that's important. Because you just gave resolution to that issue. You said, journaling, visiting a rage room, set something on fire, train for a marathon, whatever you need to do, jump up and down. Like, I don't care, whatever it is. And it's going to be personal, right? Because what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. What makes you happy doesn't necessarily make me happy. What makes you feel better doesn't necessarily make me feel better. So what do you need to feel safe? Because when you experience a trauma, your sense of safety is removed. How do we get you to feel safe? Going and confronting this person and looking for a resolution, and they look you in your face and say that didn't happen, that's not going to make you feel safe. And yeah, And I don't know how. No, that definitely happens. And so what that would apply, like someone that's, I think this would apply because I think in my personal life, the scenarios that are similar to that would be like, I want them to just acknowledge what they did and I want an apology. And I've said, and hopefully I don't get in trouble by you, and you'd be like, you said what? I was like, listen, you're not going to get an apology, so you're going to have to, and yeah, I'm like, you're going to have to accept the fact they're not going to apologize, or they're not going to admit it, or they're not going to cop to it, and you have to find another way. Now, I didn't have the. Well,
so I thought you were saying they wanted an apology from you when you wouldn't give it to them, and I was like,
oh no, not me personally, no.
Yeah, you just telling the person they're not gonna get. Oh yeah, I
said I was trying to help. I said, you gotta be okay without that. But that's why I was wanting you to break that down. You said journaling, but I don't know if that's because to me it seems or it sounds like that would be much tougher to, like if that's what you feel like you need for healing. And then also that may be a figment of your imagination because does that really solve the issue?
I think it makes it easier when somebody says, oh my gosh, I offended you. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, I did do this to you. I'm so sorry. Because everybody likes to be validated. And when we start talking about trauma, especially in our community, the definition get to doing what they want to do. We say this is physical abuse. Your parents be like, nope, that was discipline. And my mama hit me with a whole tree. All I did was hit you with a belt. That's not abuse. No, for real. Like you putting your head down, but that like really happens. So like it's easier when a person validates you and apologizes. That makes your journey to healing easier, but I don't know that it's needed. Because you can get stuck there because somebody might be like, that didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like it just turns into I'm a victim type thing in which I feel like that is self-inflicted pain and what you call arrested development.
Yeah. So it's not self-inflicted pain because like I didn't do this to me. So I saw a thing on Instagram, TikTok, wherever I was, that summed it up really nicely. It said, you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you're responsible for your healing.
That's why I'm calling it self. Like you're not, you got to be responsible for getting up out of that seed or moving on. And if you don't, and you stay sitting in the ant bed, every sting you get after that's you now, no, that's on you. So that's where responsibility from my perspective comes into play. Mac LaShawn says little T's, big T's, perception. That's why we got wise viewers. And then Mac LaShawn says, thank you, Doc, because sometimes there is no resolution.
Amen. But hey, Mac LaShawn. Okay. Yeah, so I think another thing that's important when we talk about like what's made up and what's actual, I think that if you're a person who has experienced a trauma, and I'm not saying that you made that up, like that happens to you, you experienced a trauma, whatever that is, the next time something happens to you that kind of looks, smells, sounds the same, you're like, oh, trauma again. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Maybe not.
Right.
Time, flag on the play. And so one thing that I'm always telling people is you have to ask yourself, is this that?
You have to ask yourself, is this that?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar like when women are traumatized because they was in a bad relationship, or a man was traumatized because he got, the woman did him bad, cheated on him, same for the woman, or the woman was in an abusive relationship and then they get in another relationship, and as soon as they maybe raise their voice or they get upset, or the woman says she goes out or is late or something, they need to stop and say, is this that? Mm-hmm. Write it down. Take a picture.
Yes,
is this that? Like that.
Yeah, because the thing is, okay, we can go with cheating because everybody understands cheating. So let's say, and for the sake of the conversation, I'm going to say the man cheated. We know women cheat too, okay?
Why you got to go that dark route? But never mind. I'm a
female and it's just easier for me.
Okay. I got it. I'm standing on the side. I'm watching. We get too far back. I go back in.
So let's say he cheated, right? So you get with somebody else, and then he checks his phone and put his phone in his pocket. You like, oh, he cheating. Is he cheating, or is that where his phone was before the text messages went off? You know what I'm saying? Is this that?
Yeah, because the trauma I think men go through with that is you got to be afraid to put your phone down, face down. You better make sure it's face up. I'm being funny, but no, go ahead and continue, Doc.
I'm just like, so, because the thing is, something happens to you and it shifts the neurons, the pathways, like all the things in your brain shift. Trauma impacts every single part of your life, whether you want it to or not. It just does. That's just the research, whatever. So now you have to learn how to navigate in a world where you're going to be triggered. Somebody's going to pick up their phone, be like, oh, they didn't want nothing, and put it back down. That don't mean they ain't cheating on you. Somebody's going to raise their voice because they're excited about the football game. That don't mean they finna hit you. You know what I mean? So is this that?
Is this that? Mm-hmm. Is this that? I keep saying that because I think that's, this is really, really good. It's better than anticipated and expected. So what other aspects of trauma would you want to make sure we cross?
Okay, this is what I want y'all to stop telling people. Get over it.
Wait.
Please stop telling people.
Stop telling people to just get over it.
Yes, that is so amazing.
I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying, okay.
That's terrible. Hold on, we got a comment. Hold on.
Yeah. So isn't that a trauma trigger? Well, Aspen Smith says, isn't that a trauma trigger, which is creating a hypervigilant person?
I'm thinking we talking about the phone thing that I just said, and I would say yes. But hypervigilance is not okay. It keeps your body in a heightened state, and like you're constantly in fight or flight. So I want you to not be as hypervigilant. That's why I'm saying one thing to do to not be so hypervigilant is to ask yourself, like, is this that? Because yes, it is absolutely a trauma trigger if you've been cheated on and then somebody pick up their phone and then put it in their pocket. Like you like, what's happening? I don't trust it. Because you were triggered. Like this person ain't done nothing to you. So yes, you are absolutely.
That is so, I don't know why I just got really afraid right now.
Why? What happened?
Because that is very disheartening to think of. Because now, I mean, I'm just, everybody has trauma. And I think the longer you live, the more traumas you encounter.
Agreed.
And so just to think about the vastness of the world, the people that we interact, that come across, and you never know what little small, incremental thing that you're doing that is 100% innocent that may be a trigger for someone. It's making me rethink a lot of interactions and encounters, not just in relationships, but just with people in general that I felt like were strange or went awry, and I was confused about what even occurred there. That it may have been something that I did, inadvertently, of course, but it was a trigger for someone. So that is, is this
That's
that?
why everybody needs to read the 4 agreements. That's why everybody needs to read the 4 agreements. One of the agreements is do not take anything personally, right? So you picked your phone up, you saw the text message, you put your phone back down, and she went crazy. Don't take that personal. And now, yes, easier said than done. Absolutely. Because somebody spazzing out at you about a text message on the phone, like I'm probably gonna say something back too. But in theory, you would be like, this is not really about me. I'm not gonna take it personal. We're gonna work through this, right? But
you say easier said than done, but how do we get it done? Is that part of the journaling and the journaling and the rec room, what you call it?
The rage room where you go like
rage room and just go bust up stuff. Yeah, I don't like tearing up stuff, so that might not work for me. Or so how do we address that? How do you say it's easier said than done, but what's a real true applicable thing to do?
So what I was saying was easier said than done is you put your phone down and somebody like, rah, rah, rah. I'm saying don't take it personal. Well, that's easier said than done because the moment they're like, what you doing? Then you like, wait a minute, like what's happening? I just got an email that I didn't want to respond to and I put my phone back, right? So how do you get out of that is you say, okay, first let's calm down.
Okay.
That person has hopefully been in sessions with me, and now they're gonna ask themselves, "Is this that?" Then they're gonna apologize. And I'm just kidding. You really have to communicate through it and figure out like what's going on. So I put my phone in my pocket, and all of a sudden I'm a cheater. Can we kind of walk through how we got there?
Right. I mean, but that makes too much sense.
It does, but then that's when you got to realize, like, is this conversation worth having? Is the stress of where I put my phone? Is this person worth that? Because that's really what it is.
So Ms. Steph says that's why communication and conversation is so important.
So important. But you know what? People miss it because I don't know that people are aware of their triggers. So what happens is
the thing. I mean, yeah. Or so that I'm sorry, go ahead, Doc.
Even if we're communicating and even if we're having conversations, if I'm not aware of my triggers, I can't share them with you. So you don't know that when you turn your phone this way or put it back in your pocket, that's upsetting me. Because I didn't know till you did it.
So somebody gotta have some sense in the game.
Hopefully. But I see a lot of people who come to me after.
That's a scary feeling because that's a lot on it. It's like how do you catch that? How do you prepare yourself for that? One, by watching perspective. That's one.
Every week.
Yes, every week. It will definitely upgrade you and get you into the right places and spaces. But no, I kind of kid, but it really is a serious thought just to understand the vastness of that and how widespread it can be, and in every walk of life, in jobs, personal life,
at churches. Okay, so Aspen Smith said, agreed. Most people are not aware of their triggers. They might not be super self-aware. Amen. Aspen is on point because people be around here parading like they together and they have no idea how they're presenting. But okay. Just saying, that's happening everywhere.
I am so sorry, y'all. But that touched me.
It did, didn't it? Okay, anyway.
That was a trigger statement. It was a trigger statement. All right, back to the show. I know people that with me. They were like, Eric. Oh, she was giving us some good information. Here you go. I am so sorry, everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do we have some more comments?
No. I'm sorry.
No, I wanted to do this. I'm gonna take this moment to
road commercial.
No, I wanted to share this because you mentioned the book, and I think it's a great book. And if you're not an avid reader, I like to listen to a lot of books. And I listen to it, and it's one of the books that I will go back and listen to because it's so I love straightforward and things that you can apply immediately, and I think it is chock full of that. And I want to make sure that I'm not misspelling things because I'm over here. I think I feel better now. It is called hopefully you can see it in the comments.
Yes, the 4 Agreements.
Yeah. Did I say
Don Miguel Ruiz?
Yeah. Can we share that? It's not shared on the screen. Is there any way to share it?
Oh, hold on. Give me a second.
Oh, yeah, there it is. The 4 Agreements, a practical guide to personal freedom. It's Don Miguel Ruiz.
Mm-hmm. It's an amazing. It's an amazing book. I really think it should be required reading for all adults. My children leaving my home. See, I don't think I had read it before. Yes, I did, but she didn't want to read it. These boys, they're gonna read it before they leave my house.
Yeah, it was the
it's
the
so
visionary
good.
director, of the Empower series. It was something that we had a discussion about, and being a part of the Empower series, what brought me to the understanding and knowledge of that book. It was very powerful. So
powerful.
Yeah, right, Doc. I am.
Okay, so let me.
I think everything is back in place. So
yeah, hold on. My husband said, "Very good book." You right, babe. It's good. I read it like all the time. So the next thing that I was gonna say, stop telling people to get over it. Why y'all be doing people like that?
I don't know.
You strike me as a get over it type. You ain't never told nobody to get over it.
I'm gonna be honest. Listen. I've grown over the years. Okay, I've grown. I do have I kind of feel like that's at some point I'm going to try to find those levels and those areas and avenues of resolution that they may desire, whether that be an apology from someone or being paid back, whatever the wrong is. I'm going to listen to them and find out what they feel like the resolution for that would be. Now, if we know if it's something that absolutely cannot come about, something you can't receive and you can't retrieve, then at that point, F your feelings.
What?
I'm being honest with you, Doc. I'm just like,
they don't get like a 3-month. Let me go see Latoya the therapist and get these tools. They don't get that.
I can suggest that they gotta do it though.
But so here's the thing: before y'all,
because the world don't stop spinning, things don't stop happening, and so I'm like, if you're not going to take these other avenues, and what you want and desire is not there, that doesn't mean okay, we get to just sit down and stay in the ant bed. It's time to get up and move around, dust yourself off, F your feelings, and let's move forward.
I don't disagree. I disagree with the delivery. Because we went through this line of question, like, what do you want? Ain't nobody gonna apologize to you. This person died and you ain't say nothing, like whatever happened, right? But they still have these feelings. I think they need time to like do something. Like they need maybe go to the rage room. Then like we can say, hey, I'm gonna set a boundary here. You and I have been talking about this same thing for about 3 months now. I'm kind of tapped out.
Yeah, I would give myself enough credit that I'm not saying immediately after that. I have enough. This is talk rhetoric within the United States, Eric Butler. I'm just telling you.
I see, because you was like
at a certain point, say, man, F your feelings. This ain't about feelings. Because some things it's like, I get it, that didn't go right. But we got to get on this train. We're not going to get left behind. We're not going to let things fall. We're not going to let things crumble. So I'm definitely not someone who's against like getting the therapy, getting the help, or getting resolution for any harm or offense or trauma that you've experienced. But many people are going to, you heard this and you're going to hear it a lot from me, balance. So there's a portion where there's a time where we get to, there's a time for everything under the sun. Time to cry, but it's a time to get your tail up and let's move on and get it done. And so that's really that's the place that I'm coming from. Now, I'll take your tutelage and your punishment as far as my delivery, because after a certain point, I'm like, okay, now, say, man, they be like, I say, man, F your feelings. This ain't about feelings right now. This is about reality. What's really happening and what we must do. And what we're not going to do is not let the important things fall because you're feeling like this. And
I'm not mad at it. It's
they're not just going to destroy things and just really get off your whole, because people will be disrespectful. Those that are not supposed to be disrespectful to, they will thwart and sabotage something that's really a pillar element in their life, their job, a relationship with their family. And I'm like, you're reacting off of your feelings. You're not that is this that. You ain't is this that enough.
And another thing you have to ask yourself, like, is this real? Just because you think something don't mean it's true.
Yes.
And people don't challenge their own thoughts enough. Everybody want to challenge my thoughts, but they ain't challenging their own thoughts. Just because you think it don't make it true. That's all I'm saying. So Alexis Butler said they're not ready for F your feelings, Pops.
Yeah. It'll take special ones, sweetie. It'll take special ones. That's why we don't just let anybody run with us. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, because I mean, I can't get no time to journal or nothing. Like,
that's the thing. That the timeline wasn't a thing. It wasn't like somebody cut your arm off. Hey man, rub some dirt on and let's go. I'm not that guy. But listen, there's a reasonable amount of time.
Physical therapy. Then I got to move on.
Like, listen, it's a time to grieve. It's a time to be upset. Even when things bad happen, and I'm kind of like, yeah, that ain't that bad. I will give others that time, but it's like, okay, we talked about it, whatever. Yeah, I'm looking at my watch, like, okay, we talked about it, but we gotta go. We got a job to do, or we have responsibilities that we have to fulfill, and we gotta do that. And if we gotta do it while we're feeling that way, we're gonna do that. But what we're not gonna do is just totally break down because we're feeling a certain way.
Amen. I ain't mad at that.
Mac LaShawn says, I have told people to get over it. She said, I will stop telling people to get over it. But if they choose to stay in that place, get somebody else to do it.
I agree.
To listen, because I'm done. I can dig it.
I'm not mad at that. And so for me, it's like, I'm going to listen. And I'm saying, hey, you said you was upset because your boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. Well, we talked about him getting a job. You was going to set a boundary. You was going to do this. Did you do any of those things we had talked about? And when you say no, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I see that you just want to vent. I'm not in a place to hear that. And then I start blinking like this.
I feel Mac LaShawn on that. Because there's only so many conversations you can have about a certain thing, especially if the discussion of here are practical steps that you can take. I told
you what to do.
To start impacting that. That's like, I'm not going to talk to you if I've given you advice and then you never take the advice or apply the advice. Then what are we talking about?
Or you do the opposite of what I said do. I said block him. You kept following him and watching him post his new girlfriend.
Yeah, that's
what we been talking about.
Yeah. Like they wanted to sit in that damn bed.
They did, and that's fine. Just sit there with someone else. Call me when we doing something else.
Right. All right, so we're a little bit past the half point. Just gonna have a short break, let the commercial play, then we'll be back, and Doc gonna come with some more punches, some more is this that's, and
yeah, I gotta pay for the rest of
the who what where? No, I'm just saying. So we'll be back here in just a moment. And it runs a little bit, but I want y'all to pay attention to it now. You go
and come back. Don't leave. We'll still be here.
Hold on, man, because I really need to talk to you about the comments we made here just a second ago. Why I can't find my stuff right now?
I don't know. Well, what do you want to just keep talking? Let me see. What else?
We could, because what I really want to do ain't okay. Here we go. It ain't that long.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
we're back.
On,
appreciate y'all. What you say?
I said, come on, commercial.
Yeah. Come on, commercial. Yeah, so any of those shows, I mean, if anything piqued your interest, definitely go to BS3 Network. Look at we have a Facebook page, of course, a Twitter, YouTube page, and go on there, take a look at it, see some of the other things. Come back, comment, let us know what you think. So we appreciate that. But we'll get back into it. And so, for those who may be joining us, we were talking about traumas. Any of them shows hiring a co-host, it's in the ether. Best friend. It's in the ether now. It's in the ether. He said he's kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't call him.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you already in there. What you mean?
Yeah, ask your best friend. What's up?
Yeah. So we're talking about the title of the show is Childhood Trauma: Perceived versus Real. What's made up and what's actual. So some key points that I like to talk about. We talked about when we're talking about traumas, there are big T's and then little T's. So big traumas, little traumas, and then some of the examples of those. We need to stop telling people to just get over it.
Yes,
and I think another key element is the realization that people have triggers. So there are things that we do that trigger other individuals, and we maybe throw it off or may not really understand why they're acting the way they acting. And so we have to, I think it would be advantageous for us to now understand that people have triggers from the traumas that they've endured, and we don't know what they are. So it might help us to understand and be a little bit more patient and calm if someone maybe acts out of sort on something that we did, and it seems we think it's very minor and it's innocent, and they seem to be responding like it's a big T. And I will say, Doc made clear that big T's and little T's are really subjective.
Yep.
So what they think is a little T, someone else may think is a big T, and vice versa. And then a great point you talked about, is this that? So in regarding to those triggers, many times, if you're the person who's triggered, and we all may have triggers that we're not aware of, if we start to identify that, we can better ourselves by asking ourselves, is this that? Mm-hmm. So something similar to a trauma that you've encountered in the past, slow down, ask yourself, is this that? And that will help you go a long way. And then she's made a key statement in the first half about challenging your own thoughts. So Doc, we can start right back there. So when you say challenging your own thoughts, is that, I don't know. I'm a pretty accurate and right person. I'm just a smidget. I'm just a smidget under the great I am. So I don't know. How do I challenge that?
Okay.
Right.
Probably want to start there. Like this smidget, like what is that? Can we get a little bit more accurate?
Yeah, well, me and Solomon, that's my first cousin, and we ran together real tight.
Okay. That's what I'm saying, people. We just because you think it don't make it real.
All right, I just broke the ice with that one. No, but really challenge your own thoughts. Kind of dig into that a little bit.
Okay, so here's the thing. We have, I forget the exact number, but X amount of thoughts per day, right? And some of them are even on a subconscious level. We don't even know that they're happening.
Yeah.
Just because you think it does not make it true. So you're walking down the street and you're like, what if a UFO popped up in here? Okay, what's the likelihood? Let's start breaking it down, because now you're about to have a panic attack about the UFO. And so whatever your beliefs are, it could be real, it could not be real, whatever. I'm not here to debate that. What I want you to focus on is, what is the likelihood that that's about to happen right now today? Not very likely. So let's take a deep breath and go on with our day. We don't have to be anxious about that. Mm-hmm. Or people, the most common one that I see is like, oh, I can't go to this event because everybody's going to be staring at me. They're not. They are so worried about what they got going on, and the women are so concerned about their own feet hurting. I promise they're not staring at you. I promise.
So would this go into class with assumptions, like making assumptions? or is that something?
So, yes and no. You're assuming that people care about you and they're staring at you, right? But it's also just like it could be a person's just their train of thought. That's just how they think. They think negatively. They think things are gonna go wrong. They think someone's gonna do something to them, and you have to challenge that. Because how many times in real life have you been walking down the street and somebody just did something to you? Is it possible? Yes. Is it really, really likely? Not really.
So there's a certain level. See, I think that's balance. It's a certain level of that's why I like respect reality. You know, my we've talked about this. My personal philosophy is you live in truth, operate in balance, and respect reality. And in doing so, it's not I'm not going to totally ignore the possibilities of anything, but let's stay. You know, I'm going to stay in a middle ground to I'm going to respect reality, like you just said. What is the likelihood of something happening? Are we even in an environment for it happening? What other research, evidence, information lends to that thought? And I damn near just answer my own question. So that's how you challenge it. I think you should challenge your own, is to to ask yourself, what can I support this thought with? And if there's not much to support that thought with, then you've now challenged your thought, and it can maybe bring you back to a more centered space.
Right. And so another is this that I say evidence for, evidence against. Because I'm not going to tell you, I'm never going to tell you like, hey, don't be cautious. You're going to go to the Walmart and everything's going to be fine. Because that's the day somebody going to rob you at gunpoint because I said it was going to be fine. So I'm never going to tell you that. What I'm going to tell you is do evidence for and evidence against, and I'll sit here and I'll listen to you. But the only caveat to that is evidence has to be facts. It cannot be feelings. It cannot be what you feel. It can't be what somebody told you. It has to be facts. Facts like
feelings.
Yeah.
I can hear.
People's feelings are valid. Don't do that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like evidence for and evidence against. Like, so people don't say, I'm about to get robbed at gunpoint. Okay, cool. What evidence do you have to support that? Somebody got robbed at gunpoint 2 days ago. Great. That's one in that one. What evidence do you have against it? It's daylight. There's nobody here. There's a security guard right there. Like, okay, well, we got 3 on this side, 1 on this side. Are you going to get your groceries or not?
Gotcha. And they need to do that. We need something needs to be designed for relationships as well. I think people be breaking up or destroying relationships, destroying career opportunities and friendships because they don't do that level of deduction.
They do destroy friendships. Yeah, they do. Aston Smith said facts over feelings. I agree. People get in their feelings and don't even look at the facts. They just let their emotions just do whatever. Like, okay, cool, you mad, go be mad. Take a second, calm down, and then call your friend and figure out like what really happened. And believe them when they tell you what happened.
There's a term. It's a term where you like even when you're presented with the facts, you're with new information. Because you already have your preconceived ideas. You even when presented with the facts, you will not change your mind. Or
it's something biased, confirmation bias.
Now, confirmation bias is when you.
That's not it. It's something biased. That's the word.
I can't think of it. It's not
confirmation bias. It's
not cognitive dissonance either.
Nope, it's not cognitive dissonance.
Okay,
we can't get stuck there because we.
Yeah, let's don't get stuck there.
Okay, but I'm gonna have to figure that out.
But I'm gonna put it in the group. The group.
Because I know exactly what you're saying. Like even when evidence is given that like this is not what happened, blah 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 blah, you were wrong. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't.
I know, me too. And I just said it so many times. All of the diversity inclusion training I went to. I'm doing it right now. That's crazy. I'm so upset with myself. Anyway, go ahead, Doc.
Can't stay there. Well, okay. brain wants to come up with that word.
I know something. Hold on. I'm gonna keep looking. You just keep going.
Whew, keep going while I'm thinking about what the word is. Okay. Do y'all have questions? Have y'all been telling people to get over it? Have you ever tried to challenge your own thoughts? Has anyone told you, is this that? Because if not, I might want to put it on a t-shirt. You gonna buy my t-shirt?
Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I might. Childhood trauma perceived versus real. Did you figure it out?
No, I'm trying to.
What you Googling?
I'm not finding it. Because I'm trying to.
I'm gonna come up with it at the end. But anyway, we're about 9 minutes out. Do you have any questions on trauma? Eric, I'm talking to you, so come back. Do you have any questions on like trauma or anything? Because I feel like you to like get over it type.
So is there some when it comes to traumas? So what is that mechanism? And we talked about this a little bit earlier. So what is that aspect? You said some people will be like, well, I can get over the trauma, and it could be the same trauma. Mm-hmm. And what is that nuance, or what do you feel like the nuance is that makes one person able to get what makes someone else's T little and somebody else's T big? And I'm talking about it's the same, but it's the same thing.
Right. It's resiliency. So it's just somebody's ability to move on or not.
So
let's say it's two kids in the same house. They went through the same thing. They got the same mama. They ate the same thing for breakfast. Everything is the same except they're two different people. One person has a higher level of resiliency, and the other person doesn't. That just means that they can endure trauma better than the other person.
Is that just an innate thing is that a divinely given thing or something of that nature?
We don't know. But what I will say is some people become it. Some people become the opposite. And I really think it's just the luck of the draw who you are and how you view it. Okay, let me give you a better example. Let me give you a concrete example. So I, as a child, did not like getting whoopings. Like, it was the worst thing ever, right? So I'm less likely to whoop my children because I didn't like it. My brother got worse whoopings than me, and he used to whoop his kids.
But he probably don't whoop them like he got whooped.
Probably not, no. But he will go to that quicker than I will.
Gotcha.
Well, and obviously not now because his children are older, because I know somebody going to be like, Scoop, your sister said. So we're talking about when they were younger.
Right. And it was just you spread a rod, you spoil the child. So I do believe in capital punishment.
I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying I would rather.
I don't know. Do you think that could cause trauma? Because that's what I'm saying. You got people walking around here like, my parents whooped me, and then they're calling that trauma. And then, because I feel like it's too easy. But let me go on and get into it. I think it's too easy to just say any, off kilter. The world presents you with this fluffy, how it should be, life, how discipline should be displayed. People will take anything and just call it trauma. So what, as a therapist, how? Okay, that was simple. I didn't think you would just come to terms with that easily. No, that makes me feel better about it, because I think there is, like you talked about, resiliency. I really think everyone's capable of that level of resiliency, and I think you bow out because I think some traumas really are just excuses to be lazy, to not have to take on responsibility and not to have to step into things, and they just want things to come easier. Because you're going to get a certain level of compassion and patience and softness if you can present and convince others that you've incurred a particular trauma, or you haven't gotten over a certain trauma. That's manipulation.
If I'm saying somebody did something to me
because kids do that.
Kids are manipulative. I got 3 of them. They manipulative. What are we talking about? But if somebody is like, oh, they did this to me, blah, 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 because I want something from you, because I need some, or like I want a different outcome, that's manipulative. But children are manipulative in the sense that they don't know what else to do. They're just trying to get their way. I think for adults, it's different because there can be malicious intent. I don't know that when my child is whining because he wants Sprite that he's trying to be malicious. I think he just likes sugar.
Yeah, I got you. And I'm talking more. I probably shouldn't even just brought up kids. I was just saying the aspect of that element comes up early, but really I'm talking about those who suffer from the arrested development, because you mentioned that. So because we're going into the last 5 minutes of our show, so really that arrested development, I'm interested in that because I think that's what frustrates maybe more resilient adults when they know someone's been through something, but it's like, okay, we still got to get out the gate. So let's kind of wrap up the show. How do we approach and attack those situations with, I would say your younger adults, hell, and even some of the older adults that function from that type of space?
Okay, hold on. We're going to do these last comments and then I got you.
Mr. J. Gee said, I'm whooping my kids. And then he said, but not really anymore, though.
He ain't whooping the kids.
Because if you do it good and early, you don't have to later on. Miss Mac LaShawn said, I have never spanked my kids, and it has nothing to do with how I was raised.
Why don't you spank them? I got questions. Like my questions be like, why?
It sound like it was. I'm assuming it was just a decision that they made.
Yeah, but like why? Because we make decisions when we have more information.
Okay.
So like, did she read a book? Did somebody say, hey, try positive parenting? Are her children just like little angels and mine are not? Like, like what? Those would be my questions. But to answer your question, how do we attack people who are dealing with arrested development and they need to get out of the gate? I think that we don't. It is not my responsibility to get an adult out of the gates. You are going to stress yourself out. You're going to worry yourself gray. It does you no justice. You cannot want it more than they do. You're going to burn out because you're taking your energy to move you and pull them and their dead weight. It's not going to work. I don't think we do anything. I think they make a decision that they want their life to be better. I think they subscribe to the thing that I say all the time: you are responsible for you. And so yes, arrested development is a thing. You have a 12-year-old that starts smoking crack and then like ends up being a child like sex exploit person. Like they're trapped. Their brain didn't get the time to process, so they are trapped. Okay, cool. But now you recognize that from a chronological space, you're 30. Do you want to do what other 30-year-olds are doing? Then you need to go seek out resources and get help. Help is everywhere. Start on Google. How do I apply for a job? Google will walk you through that.
Yeah,
homeless people got phones. So I don't think we do anything. I think that person has to decide that they want something different for their life.
Thank you, Doc. I think you just heard it from someone who's trained, someone who's experienced. And I'm saying this to some of those parents who are wearing themselves down, going gray, trying to drag their
running through their retirement
for their children who are in that space. And it is okay. You just have to. Sometimes you have to let people find their own way. I don't think you'll be judged or you're wrong for doing that. And so, Doc, thank you. Thank you for unloading so much on the show. I really found it, enlightening, definitely informative, and you're good at what you do. And I'm just going to tell everybody on the show, it'll probably be filled by the time you see this, but there's some small slivers of space open. So definitely share that information with someone you think that can benefit from Latoya the therapist services and her gift. That's what I always call it. And but we appreciate you for being here. Thank you to our viewers that have been in the chats and interacting with this, man. That always makes it a great thing. And your questions, your comments help many other people. So we all have a perspective, and that's what we're about here. So thank you. We'll see you next week, next Thursday. Go to our Facebook page, Perspective Podcast. Make sure you join if you hadn't joined. Invite somebody to join, and then also be active in there. If there's other things you would like to discuss, other questions, things that weren't answered tonight, just put them in there. We'll do our best to respond and get it going and get it cracking. Until next time, we appreciate you. All right, bye-bye.